What's up, guys? Back at the home shop today, messing around with some stuff for the Bronco 2 project. Made some pretty good progress on the axles. Got the engine bay just all cleaned up. It was honestly repainted and rebuilt, I guess, a few years back before they parked it. So that's all pretty damn clean. It needs a new intake, but just cheap plastic shit, holes in it. But everything else cleaned up super nice. So forgive the mess in the shop here. All right, so got a mess, but getting some stuff done. Pulled the old stupid round headlights out. The kid had swapped them for round ones. Obviously these are square, so waiting on another replacement bucket and some springs to come for that. We'll get the grill back in there. But the exciting stuff's over here. Got the axles stripped down, trusses welded on, stripped, ready for brackets. Got the Yukon chromolly shafts for the one piece, so we can delete the fad. All the parts we've already been over: slider boxes, brackets, gears. We're going to be running these Alcan leaf springs. They're for the front of a YJ, so 44 inches, pin on center. They got the orbit eyes, which is super cool. Military wrap, double military wrap. But today we're messing with the brakes. Unfortunately, the axle sat outside for a while before I bought them, so didn't want to buy all new rotors and all that good stuff. So doing a little bit of home refinishing, combination of some rust remover spray, which kind of made more of a mess than it helped, but you can see these things are just caked. So we've been hitting them. Initial run with the flap disc, second run with the DA sander, and so the before and after, I mean, they're coming out pretty damn smooth. You could see, I mean, maybe minor pitting where the pads were, but that's going to be good enough for who it's for. So got 2 more of those to do, and then the regear in progress. For same thing, front axle strip, truss welded on. Leaving this blank over here because we don't want to extend the truss all the way over. The frame of the B2 is just over 31 inches wide, which is same from cast to cast. So I think the leaf spring perches are going to go right at those outer edges. So we'll see after that. We might weld a little bit more of the truss on if we can, but if nothing else, all the tubes are welded and making some progress. So nothing too exciting. Grinding and sanding rust. So back to it. All right, so one of my least favorite parts about working on anything, assembling U-joints, especially on the trail. I have a press over there in the corner, but done this so many times on the trail and just end up using a hammer on the side. A couple blocks of wood. Main thing to do when you're doing U-joints, all the needle bearings in there, you want to make sure that they do not fall out and get stacked in the lid. Then you put it on, crush them, and got a worn out U-joint before you know it. There's also little plastic washers in the bottom of each cup. Sometimes they come off and stick to the ends of this, and you just got to make sure you don't double stack those or miss those. Then the other important thing that everybody forgets, to be honest, I forgot right before this, on the first shaft that I assembled, you have to put the C-clip or the full circle clips on before you put the U-joint into the axle shaft, or you can't get them on, and you have to take the whole damn U-joint right back out. So that's what I just spent an extra 20 minutes doing for no reason, because I forgot to put those circle clips in. So, and then when you're putting them in, you just, like I said, you want to make sure mainly those needle bearings don't fall over. So I got it sitting in there, and I'm just going to tap it this way while I hold pressure on the U-joint this way to keep those needle bearings in. If I just flip it upside down right now and hit it, then, you know, this can fall out this way and all the needle bearings can fall sideways and get messed up. So, and while you're doing this, you want to make sure, like I said, these circle clips don't fall off, or you're taking it back out and doing it again. So fun stuff, especially on the side of the trail in the dirt. I know some people probably squirm when I do that, I'm trying to hit it flush on the cap, you know, not one side or the other. Honestly, never had an issue doing it that way, so just quicker than trying to hold all the long side up in a press with one person, and it's a real pain in the ass, so this works. All right, got that one in. One more cap that way. And then try to kind of split the difference on the cross to have it sticking in each cap just a little. Again, to make sure those damn needle bearings don't fall sideways in there. I think that's good. Yep. So now it's started enough that even if the cross goes side to side, there's not enough play in there where those needle bearings can fall into the end. So that one went pretty smooth. Pull that guy off. Get these set in a little better. Snap rings. Chromolly shafts from Yukon. The main reason I did these because the Bronco 2 is so light and it's just going to be on 35 1050s. I don't think it would have broke the stock shafts, but this is a one-piece shaft instead of the stupid two-piece fad disconnect that the JLs and Gladiators have. These axles are out of a 22 Gladiator Rubicon. I would have had no way to disengage and engage the fad, and then also it's just one more moving piece to break, so it doesn't hurt to do chromo. So that's that. I'll save you guys the rest of it, but putting the shafts together. All right, little progress update. Didn't film any of it, but the gear install is done and the rear is totally reassembled. So that axle is going to be totally ready until it's under the Bronco to get the perches welded on, set pinion angle width, all that stuff. Other than that, that one is complete. And then this one is same thing, gear's done. The only thing we're gonna do today, weld on the C gussets. And one more thing. Oh, I'm gonna cut these off. Obviously, we're not gonna be using those, so I'll cut those off. And waiting on a fad disconnect plate. But after that, man, this one's ready to go under too. Just gotta wait for the weather to get nice enough. Get the boat out of the shop. I can leave it outside for a few days while we pull that thing in and cut and gut it and get ready to put these axles under it. So after this week, I think there's a hard freeze again at the end of the week. And I mean, it's like 80 degrees today. So hopefully the weather holds out and we'll be able to get this thing rolling. All right, so one thing about these Artec C gussets is once all the brackets are stripped off, those I think would normally, you know, meet up with the coil buckets or whatever. There's just not a lot of weld. That's about double what's on the other side. So I'm gonna box those sides in. Had one of these sitting around. Extra, not one of the ones I'm using for this build, so that would do it right there. And that'll get us to where we need to be. So I think we'll cut out a couple plates and fill those in. All right, so we cut out two of these little brackets off an old set of spring perches. And well, I think it's gonna go that way. I think just to continue it, because there's a gap that would have keyed into the towers or the shock coil buckets or whatever. Just gonna do that. Box it in, smooth off the edges. Probably overkill. I don't think I'd be bending the knuckles on 35s, but this gives us room to grow. 37s, whatever, in the future for this rig, but mostly just because it looks stupid with a big old gap there too. So, all right, there they are. Burned in, filled in. Tie the gussets into the tubes. So, feel better about that. I'm glad I did it. Wasn't too bad. I'll take a grinder and smooth off the edges so it doesn't look so stupid, but all in all, worth it. All right, got everything full welded. The knuckle gussets on the top with the little filler plates I made. Got the lowers welded on. I just cut this cast block off. I'm gonna cut this one off flush. Try to beat this back and weld it over just so it doesn't look so unfinished if I can beat it up to there and weld that. be good. All right, getting there. Got those cut off. Got everything as close as we can get. I did decide I'm gonna cut these off, and I mean, the springs really have to go about there. They can't be any more outboard. So I'm gonna cut those off where the red lines are and tie them into these springs perches as much as I can, just because the stupid fat, and it looks more complete. So I'm gonna do that on both sides, and then we'll have a little, at least, you know, the truss continues out a bit. It's not gonna be much, but tie it into the spring perch once it's done, and that'll wrap up the front. All right, so I know I keep saying I'm done, but adding just a few more things, then we'll actually be done. I don't like how the truss splits in the middle around the cast, you know, welds to cast is shitty. Not that there's a ton of stress on this, but I'm just gonna do one of those just to tie it all together. Scrap flat plate I had laying around, so I can weld it to both sides of the truss and to the axle itself right there. And then also, because that's where the spring perch is gonna land, got these little guys cut out. That'll land perfectly right there to box that in, be able to get one little bead there. And same on this side, you know, spring perch, tie that into there and get everything fully boxed, fully welded. Feel a lot better about that than the shitty cast welds. Couldn't really clean this up too good. Didn't want to get it too hot because the e-locker plugged there. So that'll tie it into the spring perch, which is tied to the tube. And this will be completely solid axle, especially for 35s. Overbuild, but like I said, room to grow into it for the future. All right, guys, so now for the last time today, this axle is finished, other than putting a CAD plate on it to put perches on it to get it under the Bronco. So I went ahead and boxed the truss in on both sides, all the way across. Added this gusset piece in just to tie it all together. Didn't hurt. Not a fabricator. Even at the shop, I don't weld. I got two guys that are better welders than me, but not too bummed with the way these turned out. And yeah, boxing those plates in and tying it in to where when you put the perch on, we'll be able to just weld the perch to it. Really tied everything together. It's gonna be sick. Yeah. Laid it down on some welds for doing it at home. It's been years since I worked in this shop, honestly, building anything. Signing off for the day. Got the axles finished, tucked in the corner. Even got the shop cleaned enough to, you know, walk around. It's not like it was before. So next time you see the project update, it'll be tearing the B2 down, getting those axles under it, and it'll be a cool project, man. We'll get to it in the next couple weeks. Thanks for watching.